Well, welcome to Tea Time with Miss Liz. That's right, it's tea time again, and it's afternoon tea. And tonight, this afternoon, I mean not tonight. I swear there's gin in that tea. I am joining the studio with Birgitte Tan, and she is an incredible lady. She has turned her life from grieving to joyful living. So I'm going to read a little bit on her bio, and then I'm going to get her to share her amazing story with us, and we're going to sit back and enjoy a cup of tea with maybe a little bit of gin. So, Dr. Birgitte Tan is a global speaker, #1 international best-selling author, certified grief transformation and life success coach, and veterinarian oncologist. Her specialty is helping people thrive through tough times and win with more ease and fun. Birgitte looks forward to helping you effortlessly transform your failures and tragedies to triumph and thriving, joyful living. You can check out her new book, Seeking Peace, the proven 5 fingers method to thrive through changes effortlessly. See, I told you my tongue does this thing.
That's okay.
So welcome, Birgitte. It is awesome to have you in the studio with us today. So could you share with us a little bit on your journey and the process of this book?
Thank you. Thank you so much, Liz. It's such an honor to be able to join you today and to be here. Absolutely, the process of this book. So let me just share. You mentioned it a little bit that how I transform my journey. I am originally a veterinarian oncologist, as you mentioned, and life was beautiful until 2011, when seemingly out of the blue, my former husband told me that he's no longer want to be married. and I
Oh, wow.
I thought we have a wonderful marriage. And that actually only opened a Pandora box of about 8 to 9 other grievous events, all happened in 2 years. And at the end of that 2 years, I was in so much pain that I wish I could die. I really wish I could die, but I didn't die. And after a short time, I said, well, if I got to stay alive, if I have to stay alive, then I'm going to thrive. And I'm going to do that with ease and fun. I'm going to thrive, not just survive. I don't know how, but that's going to happen. So I started my own journey into grief recovery and life transformations, actually. And fast forward only 3 years, I look back and realize that I have gone from broke, heartbroken, miserable all the time, sick all the time, to living a wonderful life of joy, peace of mind, ease, abundance, love, and better health than the first 40 some years of my life. And I realized that I have learned the skills and tools of transforming adversities, any adversities, all different ones, to thriving a joyful life. And then fast forward to last year, just last year actually, in 2019, I was living a wonderful life again, doing all the things I love, and out of the blue, my right hand become paralyzed. My dominant hand became paralyzed, and so much so that I could not even hold a pen like that. And all the doctors here, I live in Los Angeles, and all the top doctors and everything could not figure out why. And I'm looking at becoming handicapped, losing my career in oncology that I built up for 25 years, just like that in 2 weeks. And at the same time, my mother suddenly became ill, and nobody knows why. And we thought we were going to lose her as well. And on top of that, my relationship for 7 years with my companion, who's been my #1 support and cheerleader, also dissolved. And all those happened. And what I noticed was last year, when all this happening, I did not go through any of the anguish, despair, anxiety, and misery the way I did back in 2011 and 12, even though the stakes, so to say, the risks are a lot higher, a lot bigger, losing my mother and losing my 25 years career. And that's when I realized that not only I learned the skills and tools of transforming our tears to treasures, but also the skills and tools on being able to continue to have ease and peace of mind and thrive, even as we are going through adversities and changes, regardless of what it is, whether it is an illness, it is a loss of somebody, it is something worldwide like COVID. And so that's what brought me into writing this book that came out this year, which is How to Thrive in Face of Adversities, because living life, like we all, practically all of us see this year, things happen in life, changes happen. Who among us, would expect to have COVID come down just like that?
I know, right?
Exactly. But there is a way for us to be able to thrive regardless of any adversities that you are going through.
So what did you learn about yourself with this whole process, Birgitte?
What I learned about myself is, I would say I'm very grateful that I am quite resilient. I'm quite resilient, and that people can change, that anybody can change. I used to be, some people who know me very well and follow me on Facebook say, oh my goodness, you are one of the most positive and joyful person. And let me tell you that I used to be a negative Nancy.
I would have never got that from you.
I used to be a negative Nancy. I used to be that, for me in the past, that the glass was half empty and what's in there was murky water. That's how I used to be. And I used to be, those personality tests, the Myers-Briggs test. I used to be a 10 out of 10, which is, they call it severe introvert, such that I wouldn't, never mind being on video or on camera, I wouldn't even look at you when I speak with you. Well, first of all, I will not speak with, invoke a conversation. But if you talk to me, I wouldn't even look at you because I was so shy. And so we all, and a lot of time, what induced me to change are one after another adversity. So we all can change. I know I can change, and so can you, to something that you would love to be a version that's a much more life-giving for myself, particularly in addition to people.
So with grief, we talked about this before we got going live. With grief, what are the steps for grief that we can change it into a positive thing? Like you've changed the grief into joyful living. So how can we, as people out there who are suffering from grief, how can we change that? What are the steps and what are the tools that you used that can help others? Absolutely.
So it's a few steps and tool, and I simplified it into 5 key points. It's in more detail in the book Seeking Peace. But the first one is what I call to do what I call 2 thumbs up tears. And what it is you do want to acknowledge the grief. We don't want to push away the grief. We don't want to try to run away from it. Grief is like a lava. If you've seen lava, they can morph and move and kind of follow here and they, if you try to stuff it in, eventually they'll explode. You'll explode in an appropriate manner. And so we want to acknowledge the grief. We want to face the grief. And we want to allow ourselves not only to acknowledge, but to also grieve, to allow ourselves the time. And everybody needed different time, but to allow yourself to cry. A lot of time nowadays, in particular in some society, including the Western society, we are told, and if you go on social media, everybody got to be tough and be strong and all these things. But what you want to do is allow yourself the time to cry. Tears are good. Yes. There are studies showing tears are good for us. Our body, in the book that says the section that says the body knows, it's this share that our body actually know when we need to cry. And tears for us when we're grieving are like rain to the fire. I live in fire zone in California, and whenever there is fire, everybody's praying for rain, and that's what your tears are. Tears are like rain for fire, and also it's like rain for the trees that nourish the trees. It nourishes your body physically, emotionally, and mentally and spiritually afterward. And so it's good to do that. Well, now at the same time, we want to be able to hold that. Yes, we're crying. Yes, times are tough. But if we just allow a corner of our mind to say that, yes, this is sucks right now. This is sucks. We admit it sucks. But there is a possibility that we will have a 2 thumbs up outcome from this. And then once we are done crying, remember to look up, because that's the only way you can see a rainbow. You got to look up and take the next step. Then that will be the first step to start in transforming your grief, your tears into treasures.
And this is the second show that I've done with grief counselors and grief supporters, and my room is lit up like a candle in here. I don't know if you can see in the back of me, but my room is lit up. I don't have any lights on at all, nothing, and my room is lit up. It is truly amazing on how, when I have grief support workers and grief counselors or grief authors or anybody who works with grief, my room lights up. And wow. I've always wondered why. Now, would you know why my room is so lit up?
I don't know why, but if I were to make a fun guess, it is perhaps, a lot of people are in the dark, in the dark with grief. A lot of people are in the dark with grief. It's kind of like we feel like we are in the dark when we are grieving. And because the society has very little understanding, it's not like you have, I always say it's like in California, for instance, and you have earthquake preparedness. You have earthquake preparedness for kids in school. You have earthquake preparedness in community and things like that. And the chance of a bad earthquake happening is really, really small. I've been here since 1999, where thankfully yet to have a bad earthquake. And then at the same time, there is no such a thing of grief preparedness in school, at least not in the US. You don't go to college and there is no grief 101 in college unless you're trying to become a psychologist. So, and even so, you still don't. And so when people are grieving, they are so much in the dark, and we feel like we are in the dark valley of our life, which is very true. And also at the same time, everybody, it's like a dark subject for people. People are confused about it. People are uncomfortable, and what we will need is people to be able to have lights, to be able to, people who are grieving, they need to be able to see that there is light at the end of the tunnel, which is probably why you have lights there. And
I like that. I really like that, Birgitte.
Right? And yeah, and people, the society can become a little bit more enlightened from shows like this, multiple other things about grief, that it's not a taboo. It's not a taboo. It's uncomfortable, but it's not a taboo. And with everyone, definitely, we can benefit from more love, and love brings more lights as well, that's why you have so much light in your background.
And I like it because it is true. Grief is a hard subject to talk about, but it shouldn't have to be so dark all the time. We should be okay with talking about our loved ones who have passed, or any kind of grief, because there's many types of grief out there, right? There's a grief of a job, a grief of a friend, grief of a loved one, grief of a pet. There's so many different types of grief out there. And I really like that you turned that around and you said that the light at the end of the tunnel. So now I'm going to look at my light, and I'm going to know that there's a light at the end of the tunnel. Yeah. And it's funny how the universe works, because we were supposed to have tea time a few weeks ago, and my stepfather passed, and so we put it off, and now we're having tea time. And you mentioned earthquakes, and today there was a huge earthquake in Turkey, and my thoughts and prayers are with everyone over there. So it's amazing how the universe works and how things need to happen at the right time
Yeah.
and the right place. Because you needed to be here today to speak about grief. Because right now we need to bring some peace to the world, and you were talking about peace before we started the show. What does peace mean to you, and why is it important to you, Birgitte?
Why is it important to me? It's for a couple reasons. First of all, I feel that peace is everyone's birthright, that it's everyone deserves to be able to have peace. And it's also important to me, not just for individual thing, but for society. And the reason for that is if you don't have peace of mind, you are not going to be able to be at your best creativity and serving. So yes, we all deserve to have peace of mind and good for us personally, but for the world deserves that every individual have peace of mind. Because if you are so rattled inside, whether it is from somebody passing away, whether it is because you feel that you're not sure how you're going to pay rent at the end of the month, or perhaps you have something else is going on, if you don't have peace of mind and ease, then you're not going to be able you're not going to be able to perform at your top performance. You're not going to be able to create. If an artist or somebody or a writer or somebody or even a person who work at a workplace, this is, we see it a lot with grief. Grief costs the workplace 113 billion, that's with a B, $1 billion every year. Why? Because when we don't have peace of mind, when we're grieving, when we're anxious, when we're anxious, and it's, first of all, it morphs into multiple different forms, and it will interfere with ability to concentrate. It will interfere with ability to think. It will interfere with our ability to interact in our best possible way with others. And now your lack peace of mind will become a ripple effect to everyone around you, and then to the society and to your workplace. And so why peace is so important for me as a person, I think everybody deserves it, and the world deserves each of us to be able to have peace of mind, and therefore be able to be in our best self, to bring our best self to the world.
Wow, thank you. Sometimes I just need a moment to take things in, right? Sometimes my guests just blow me away because each of my guests teach me something that I need to hear, that I need to learn as well. And it's like you said, if you can have peace within yourself, but if there's so much chaos around you, it's hard at times, right?
Yeah.
So could we talk a little bit about the book? You have written a book, and what were the stages for that? How long did it take you to write the book, and what is the book based on?
So the book based on the book is based on basically the main theme of the book is the 5 key points on being able to thrive through adversities. And when we're able to thrive and keep moving step by step through through the changes, whatever the cause of the changes that you are experiencing, it could be a loss of a loved one, it could be COVID, it could be anything else. Then when we're able to step by step do that, we will be able to also change our result to something better very quickly, and a lot more readily, and thrive in our life. So that's what's the main things. How long it takes me to write the book? It took me about the book, actually, it's kind of an interesting thing. It took me about half a year to write the book. And initially, the book's supposed to come out the end of last year. And one after another thing, there was some glitches with the editor, and then this and that, and one after another, it got delayed. And I learned by now to just say, which is something we share in there as well, to let go of attachment. And I said, I'm just going to trust divine intelligence that the book going to come out when it's supposed to come out.
That's the right timing.
There'll be a right timing. And sure enough, it delay here, delay there, and then it's end up that the book comes out right in the middle of COVID.
Wow.
And to how to thrive through changes that we don't invite in our life. And I was like, well, somebody knows something, life know what people's need, and it just come out in a defined way. So that's the interesting background of the book.
So if anybody wanted to get a book, where would they get a book?
Absolutely. So the book is called Seeking Peace, the Proven 5 Fingers Method to Thrive Through Change Effortlessly. And you can get the book in a couple different ways. Amazon definitely have it. Canadian Amazon have it. US, Amazon.com. Any country that has an Amazon, your Amazon will have the book. Amazon.com or Amazon Canadian. So that would be allow you to have to have the book in ebook form as well as in print. If you'd love to get the book and have it signed, then what you can do is you can get it from my website, From Grieving to Joyful Living, and then send me a message that you want it signed. Or you can easily email me directly, support@birgittetan.com, and say a signed copy. And then, that will be something that I definitely can do for you as well. And it will be minimal shipping if you are in the US and Canada, complimentary shipping. So
yeah. Awesome. And I'll get that into the comments for everybody. So if you wanted to check out her website, you can check it out, and they can reach out to you as well. Now, since we're on tea time, what does tea mean to you, Birgitte?
That's wonderful. I love that question. Yes, tea means to me, for some reasons, it means family gatherings. It's like a family comfort. It's when from time to time when people talk about tea, and when I hear your that questions in your previous interview, it actually brings me a memory to when I was 10 years old, and tea. We went to my parents took me to a trip down. I grew up in Indonesia, to a different location in Indonesia, to Solo and Jogja. And at that time, those area drink sweet tea. And so that was something that, and I remember that the tea a lot of time bring me memories to this time where we were there drinking sweet tea. And it was interesting. The person was pouring sweet tea, and she poured this sweet tea from an elephant-like pitcher.
Oh.
the pitchers look like an elephant, and then so I was like, how interesting. And then I look around the room, and there is like pictures of elephant and statues of elephant everywhere. And so when I think about tea, it somehow make me think about elephant. And then it's also make me think about family time in Asian culture, in particular in actually Chinese culture. My background is I'm Chinese Indonesians, and in Chinese culture, if you go to dim sum, a lot of people know dim sum, or even dinner time or something, usually the elders will be pouring tea around. And so tea to me reminds me to elephants for some reason. And then also to family, when it's kind of make me think, I'm the only child, and a lot of time I see these pictures, of daddy elephant and mommy elephant and little elephant, and in a strange way, but it make me think about that. So tea make me think about elephant and family. Well, like a family.
And I heard before that elephants are supposed to be good luck, right? If you point them towards a door or something, it brings an opening or something. Like opens a passage or something for good luck.
Something like that.
Yeah, because somebody gave me an elephant, and I had put it the other way, and they were like, no, you need to turn it towards the door. And I was like, oh, but it's going to be in a cabin. And they're like, no, the closest door, pointed towards it. And I was like, oh, okay, I'll do that. Because I get these little trinkets sometimes from people, and they tell me to do certain things with them. I'm like, oh, okay, I'm very open to learning new things and new cultures and that. So if I gave you the word tea, and I ask you for a word for each letter. What words would you come up with? So for the letter TEA,
Okay.
could you give me a word for each letter?
Sure. The word TEA. Let me write it down because I'm a little bit of a visual person. So the word TEA, what comes up to me, the word T is definitely thrive. And then the word E is endeavor. Endeavor, do your best. And then the word A is achieve.
Oh, I like it. Positive, I like it. See, and this is why I ask all my guests this, because each guest is different. It's just like each cup of tea is different.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I never know what my guests will bring to tea time and what tea means to them. So this is what it means to you. So could you say those three words now together?
Thrive, endeavor, and achieve.
See how amazing that sounds? It sounds amazing. And it goes with the book, Thriving Again. We're thriving. So
yes.
If you could give one final message to everybody out there today, what would the message be?
The message I would have is you're not alone. Sometimes when we are going through tough time, we feel that we are really, really alone. Sometimes we feel that even the people closest to us don't get us. And that's definitely a valid feeling, but really you are not alone. There are people here, you, Liz, myself, there are people that are here, who are here for you, happy to help you, happy to support you. There are when we open our hands and welcoming and allowing support, we will be surprised. You'll be very surprised on how much surprise support come your way. So you are not alone.
I like that. I like that message because sometimes we forget and we think that we are alone, but we actually have support system out there that we might not even be aware of.
Yeah.
Or we have people who are watching who we don't even know are watching.
Yeah.
You know, so the messages need to be clear, right? So we need to be clear with everybody, and we need to be ourselves, like we were saying before the show. You know, I can't do anybody but Miss Liz. I can't do Bridget. I can't do my kids. I have to do Miss Liz, right?
Yeah.
So we want to always let everyone out there know that just be you, and you do have support. And like Bridget said, you're not alone. So I'm gonna get you to remind everybody where they can get the book, and then we're gonna close up this tea time, and I will see everybody on a new date with a new guest with a new message. So Bridget, if you can remind our guests one more time where they can get the book.
Absolutely. You can get Seeking Peace on Amazon, on Amazon.com, Amazon Canada, any Amazon website that you have. You can also get it from my website, From Grieving to Joyful Living, or directly email me if you'd like to sign a signed copy. Put title signed copy on the email subject and direct email Birgitte at birgittetan.com.
Thank you so much, Bridget, and thank you so much for being in the studio with me today.
Thank
And I'm
you.
going to close up Tea Time with Miss Liz, and I will see you guys next week with a new guest.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you, dear.
Divine energy and beyond. Miss Liz, tea time, yeah, making a difference. One cup at a time. Tea time, yeah. Miss Liz, tea time, yeah, making a difference. One cup at a time. Tea time, yeah. So be sure to grab your tea, grab a seat, and tune in to Miss Liz. Tea time, making a difference. One cup at a time. Tea time, yeah. Tea time.
Thank you for joining me, Miss Liz, for Tea Time, making a difference, one cup of tea at a time.